Well, when I started building my Drupal courses, I needed an easy way for students to spin up their Drupal site with like zero friction. And for my first course, Mastering Drupal Content Managers Edition, I just went and used Pantheon because it gave me 2 free sandbox sites, perfect for content managers. But when I started planning a second course, this time for site builders, I ran into a problem. I needed a platform that lets students launch Drupal sites easily for the new Drupal CMS Starshot that's being launched. And Pantheon didn't yet support this, so I started searching for a better solution. And that's when I found Drupal Forge. So it offered exactly what I needed: ephemeral sites, ready to go environments, and a focus on reducing the barrier to entry for Drupal. So I reached out to Salim and started a conversation that's kept me watching the project closely. I've covered it on my Drupal news channel, and today I'm excited to finally sit down with Salim and Darren to hear the full story from the people that are making it happen. So, welcome, Salim and Darren. And Ivan's here hosting with me. Hi, Ivan.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you.
Good. Hey. So, to get straight into it, guys, basically, what's Drupal Forge? Like, can you explain that to us and give us a quick demo for the audience? See what we're working with here.
Yeah, it's better than us giving a demo. You wanna bring it up and share your screen and just do it yourself, and I'll walk you through.
Can you take that, Ivan?
I can, if you can give me a minute to kind of change a few things. Need to hide a few tabs, if you know what I mean. No, I'm just joking. I just need to change my resolution. One moment. And I can, and I will bring it up. Because yes, I have played around with it.
WordPress's website there.
Forge, let's bring this up. And what I will do is I will share my screen. Which screen is that? That's that one. All right. And there we go.
So there you go. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right. So if you're following along, just head over to drupalforge.org or just Google Drupal Forge and you should find it. And this is the home page. So take me through it. What should I do?
So if you want to look at Drupal CMS, then there's a widget there.
Right here, yeah.
First thing, front and center. So first of all, you got to prove you're not a robot.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was quick. So usually I have to spend a minute proving that I'm not a robot. So good. And then
I get stuck in the existential crisis. Am I a robot?
That actually takes me longer to do than to click on the Express Launch button. So that's good. So click on the Express Launch button and let's count how long it takes you to launch it.
Okay. Oh.
So how long was that?
That was
4 or 5 seconds.
This is actually much faster than it was before, because a couple of weeks ago I tried it and it was a bit longer than that.
Right. So click on the application URL. We try and keep it around less than 5 seconds. So this was around 3 seconds. So in 3 seconds you got Drupal CMS up and running.
Right. And it spins it up. This is the moment where, okay, good. It's loaded up now.
Yeah, and then you can just click next. Yeah. I just usually just go through.
Yeah, so for anyone watching, this is the Drupal CMS recipe selection for the installer.
Yes.
Right.
Which is.
And let me put in a random password. And this is the brand new installer as well for Drupal CMS, as you can see. Yeah. It's looking very...
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest version. It looks great, doesn't it?
It does, yes. It does. And as Bevan mentioned, you can add recipes later on, so you don't have to have decision fatigue at the first step.
So this takes a minute or two to actually install and go through the setup. But as this is happening, if you go back to Drupal Forge on your first tab, you can actually open up the VS Code.
Copy the password first.
Yeah, so click on the password and copy the password. And then click on VS Code. And it's going to prompt you for the password.
So I don't need an account?
You do not need an account.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Without an account, you just get the 6 hours. You can't extend it.
Oh, okay. And that's why there is a countdown right here.
Right, exactly.
So what that
Very
is,
good.
Yeah.
that's not an install countdown. That's how long you've.
Well, I guess trust.
This website will self-destruct in 6 hours.
That's right.
You can extend it though, can't you?
Still going?
If you create an account, then you can extend it because we don't really know who to give that to. So if you create an account, then not only can you extend it, you can actually, it automatically pauses. So you can come back and you can keep extending it, and it doesn't go
maybe
away.
It's a good. Maybe there's a good point of, especially because what we've done is the Express launch, and the Express launch just makes it easy for you to spin up a Drupal very quickly. You don't need an account, don't need anything, just does it. But there's a non-Express launch that gives you a full access to the cloud environment behind it, being able to extend, keep it alive, etc. So there's two setup options,
So
the easy one and the advanced one.
Yeah. Can you do like Control ++ or Command ++ so I can actually see the little blind here? Okay, cool. So if you open up index.php.
So
in the web folder.
Yeah, in the web folder. It's right there on the left.
I'll click it off.
It's Drupal Ivan.
Yes. And then if you go onto like line number 2, for example, and if you type in PHP info, open paren, close paren, and die, whatever, right?
Or is it die like that, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And then if you go to
the installation might not be finished.
Yeah, it might not be finished.
Yeah,
might not want to do that later.
Yeah, wait. Let's not throw spanners in the works. Sabotage.
Well, I hope we didn't screw it up. So,
well, at this point, Drupal Forge has done everything it's supposed to. If something goes wrong, it's Drupal CMS with an issue.
Yeah. So while this is happening, the one thing I want to show you is if you go to the burger menu, and you can actually click on Terminal and run a new terminal. It gives you a terminal that's built into it, and with that terminal, you can type in Composer. Ooh. So you have full access to the terminal. It comes built in with Composer.
Oh, nice.
Got Drush as well, I assume.
Yep, and type in Drush, and then you'll see that Drush is built in. So this is a dev environment that's ready to go.
Yes.
And then you can do all your development here. You can add modules. You can run NPM if you wanted to.
Has it got Vim installed?
I'm a big fan of Vim, believe it or not. That's how I got my Linux chops.
All right. Well, the dashboard installed, which is great.
Yep.
There's a new version of
there's
Drupal.
updates.
There's updates.
Oh yeah, you can run.
Fair enough.
We can try automatic updates if you got time.
Yeah.
Whoa. Let's jump in.
Go and see.
Yeah.
So this is, it took us.
I'm loving this.
Less than 5 minutes to get this up and running. Get the installer up and running, and so on. So that's what Drupal Forge does. It allows you to spin up any version of Drupal. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Drupal CMS. So whatever version you want to spin up, you can spin up. And you can do your testing, you can do your development. And, we keep hearing that this is, for Drupal CMS, and it's for developers, or it's targeted to developers. And if you don't want to use VS Code, you don't have to use VS Code. It's there. But the audience, to be honest, the audience for Drupal CMS nowadays, today, is in fact developers. Right? Like no end user is using Drupal CMS right now. It's not like, I don't think it's mature enough to be being used by everyone right now. So the majority of the users for Drupal CMS are developers.
That will be the current state of reality, though we want to try and change. That's the whole point, right? Try and get the word out. That's what I'm after.
Yeah. And then the other thing, the interesting thing about that is if you go to the homepage on Drupal Forge, that widget, the blue thing that you're seeing right there, anyone can take that and put on their own website. So people can have any developer can create their own variation of Drupal CMS, their own recipes of Drupal CMS, and put their widgets on their own websites. So people visiting their website can spin up their variation or their recipe from their own website. They don't actually even have to come to Drupal Forge to spin up that site, with or without VS Code. So you can actually you'll be able to hide VS Code if you want it. So that's working today. So not a lot of people are using it, but it's working today.
Yeah, so that's something like Ivan will be aware of, like the convivial profile. That would be a good use case for something like this, right? Here, go and spin up your own convivial Drupal.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Or any type of distribution absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the open socials, the distribution?
Yeah, there's a few of them. Open Social, var, Dot, I think I've seen recently.
Yeah.
Getting promoted.
Yeah, but then you could also create your own and just go and that's the point here, Salim, to be able to demo your own implementation of your in-house.
Yeah, so you can develop, you can demo, and then the thing we didn't talk about is that you can distribute. So one of the things, this was the whole inception of how Drupal Forge came about, is when Darren came to me and said, and I'll let Darren speak to it, but just to give you a little preview of it, is if you have your own recipes or you have your own distributions, you'd be able to sell that through Drupal Forge. You can sell the installation. You as a developer will be able to sell your installation. If I'm a developer, I can sell my recipe. I can sell the installation of it. I can sell ongoing support for it. I can sell hosting for it. And it's hand-free hosting. Everything's managed by Drupal Forge. You collect the money, the percentage goes to Drupal Forge, and the percentage you can allocate and say, I want a percentage that goes to the Drupal Association, for example, or whatever. And then Drupal Forge manages all of that for you.
See, mostly it'd be targeted at agencies, I assume, but I'm thinking up use cases. Say I use Drupal to build something like a real estate management application, right? Then I can come to Drupal Forge and go, hey, you can either sign up and use my SAF service on my hosted version of it and get an account on there, or if you want to self-host it, I've got a self-hosting option where you can go over here, click this button, it'll spin up your own private version of it, etc.
Well, what I'm hoping is that if you've built something like that, you can use Drupal Forge to sell it as a service.
Right.
So, because everyone's going to need to pay for hosting, why not pay the developer a cut of that hosting so that product can be maintained? That was the original reason we started this, was because we had so many projects that were struggling to be maintained. And I heard it was 2022 at DrupalCon in Portland, and I went to a BOF and I heard, good grief, I keep forgetting his name, the web form guy.
Oh,
yeah.
Go Google it.
Name once you do remember it. But he was saying that he couldn't keep up with the maintenance, and he was trying to come up with this funding method where people would pledge funds. And I asked him, why don't we build a version of SurveyMonkey with web form and sell that and to support your work? And he said, I don't want to be running a business. So it's either run a business or be trying to figure out how to get donations or do what you can in your free time.
It's an interesting little scenario. I want to trade my services for money, but not run a business.
Well, it's very difficult. Well, it's very difficult to set up infrastructure and run a hosting business. And
absolutely, yeah.
And the hosting infrastructure is not easy to set up, and to maintain the hosting infrastructure is not easy. And the big thing is, when you want to get out of hosting, is it easy to sell that or transfer all of that to somebody else, right?
Yes.
That is something that people don't think about. And with Drupal Forge, that's one click. You could take the entire workspace, you could just sell it to somebody. They have access to all the customer workspaces or all the customers' projects, and you're done. Like they get access to everything. So all of that has been thought out, and it's a one-click operation, basically, for developers. And it's a good way to make money, because today, if you think about it, the hosting companies in the Drupal ecosystem, they're like billion-dollar companies, right? And, if you think about it, most of the money, recurring revenue, is going to the hosting companies. And why isn't it going to the developers who are doing the ongoing maintenance of the code? So that's basically, that was the idea that Darren came up with after talking to people. And then Darren and I started talking, and the idea just kind of like slept for, we just left it alone for a while. And then how did this take off, Darren?
The problem was I didn't have a distribution to sell, and I didn't want to put in the time to build one. And then when Drupal CMS was announced, I said, oh, now this one, I don't have to build. We've got community support behind it. We can use this to prototype our idea.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and then with the recipes, right? That opened up the possibility for having not just Drupal CMS, but having other developers being able to rapidly create their own, flavors, or their own, essentially, recipes of whatever they want to sell or distribute. And there needed to be a mechanism for doing that. So, and generating revenue from it. So that's how this came about. And the whole thing is set up as a nonprofit, so that we don't, we're not keeping money. We need money to operate. But most of the money, all the money, goes back to the developers.
So there was a moment at DrupalCon Portland in 2022, where this sort of reinitiated. Yeah, and there was discussions with. There was a whole story you had, Darren, that you told us about.
Yeah,
walking around speaking to people and stuff. Yeah, so want to tell us more about that?
Oh yeah. So after that, okay, there were two things. There was that BOF, and it was Jay Rockowitz who was talking about his struggles maintaining the web form module. So after, and then that was also the time that DrupalPod was getting big, where you could just click a link and a site would spin up. And I was asking Ofer Shell, why can't it be this easy to spin up a live site? Just why does this have to be a developer-only product? Why can't I just buy it and make it live? So I started walking around the expo hall, talking to the vendors, asking who can support this idea, who could provide us with something like DrupalPod, where you could spin up a site, but then have the ability to purchase that site, and so that developers could put links on their project pages where users could spin up a site, and the recurring revenue from the hosting could go towards supporting their projects. And the first person, well, there were a couple that were of booths where I got some interest. The first person who was really interested and said, I actually have an idea how to do this, was Salim from DevPanel. And so we started talking. I actually never got calls back from the other vendors, but we kept going. And then he didn't come to DrupalCon last year in 2024. But when I heard about Drupal CMS, I texted him on Slack and said, "Can we revive this idea and get it going now?"
So, so Salim's gone. Oh, he's back. Hello, Salim, just in time. It's Salim, not Salim, yeah? Got a bit of...
his audio is gone.
Can't hear your audio.
I said I was drinking my coffee, so...
So back around about the same time after you guys got around, there was discussions around the conception of this idea in web-enabled, which I know you're aware of, Ivan, but I'm unfamiliar with what web-enabled was. And it reminds me of Drupal Gardens too from back in the day. But,
I'll let you talk about web-enabled, Ivan. What do you remember of it?
I remember it. This was a long time ago. I was working, on Drupal 6 Day. This was during Drupal 6 days, and you could go ahead and, if I understand correctly, it's been a while. It was like a greenish kind of website, brownish, and you could install applications. It wasn't specifically hosting, but it was like, you want to spin up a Drupal site, you can select different versions. You can select, I think, WordPress as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You could, install applications. And it was a great way of just testing things out. And a friend that I worked with at that time just mentioned it to me. And I do remember that. And I've probably still got the logins in my password manager for it somewhere. But yeah, it was great just to spin things up and test things out. And it's kind of funny. It's like, I've been building websites for, it's going to be nearly 20 years. But yet the need to just spin up test sites to play, to muck around with them and play with them. It's like, it's always there. There's always a need. There's nothing more enjoyable than pressing a single button and getting a site spun up, especially if you're spinning them up a couple times a week to test things out. So yeah, that was my first foray into this whole, automated, and click a button and you get a website.
Which Simply Test Me used to be, but I found that often clunky, and you've got to choose modules, and if you want to test modules out and stuff, half the time it failed and it didn't work. And then when you're on your local, half the time you go to spin up a new site, you've got to update even nowadays, new version of DDev's out and some Docker issue upstream changes and it doesn't install, and this is all someone else's problem, right, in that sense. Now, before I go on to the next question, you want to click that update button so we can just have that running in the background.
All right, you guys are.
We've moved away from that.
More brave than me.
Wait and see what happens. That works, actually.
Yeah, and I assume that'll take 30 seconds or so, and I can move on to the next question while we're doing that.
Let's wait and see.
I think it takes a little longer than that.
It's going to take,
yeah. So while that's happening, what differentiates DevPanel from other cloud front ends?
So DevPanel is the backend for Drupal Forge. And DevPanel is a control panel like cPanel, but just much more sophisticated. It's even the name was inspired by cPanel. So, excuse me. So, as a control panel, it doesn't do hosting. It's meant to manage infrastructure. It's meant to manage You can use it to deploy your sites to other infrastructure, to other servers, and you can build your own hosting company using DevPanel. So you can think of Drupal Forge as a hosting environment built using DevPanel. So a company would, if they want to build their own hosting environment internally, they could use DevPanel to build their own hosting environment like Drupal Forge. So that's the back end for Drupal Forge, but essentially DevPanel is manages infrastructure. Companies, like one company has connected their AWS account to it, and then DevPanel goes in there, sets up Kubernetes, and it's a SaaS dashboard. Like, you're familiar with using Pantheon or Acquia dashboard to create dev test live sites and so on, the workflow and having CI/CD built in. So it's a dashboard like that, but it allows you to connect your own account, and then DevPanel manages all your sites in there. And it gives you a dashboard like that to manage everything in your account. So instead of hosting in somebody else's account, you're hosting in your own cloud provider, but using DevPanel as the control panel to manage everything in your own account. Does that make sense?
So I could, because I'm just looking at the pricing now. So if I, as a single developer,
devpanel.com.
So if you head
you
over
want to bring up the pricing page, if
you let me move the tabs here. Because
hopefully we can maybe do a demo of DevPanel, because that's a big description, but it must actually get a look and a visual representation of what it is maybe later.
Because one thing I'm trying to figure out is, one thing I've noticed with shared hosting is that the pricing is totally out of whack. And what I mean by that is always the first year they drop the prices 80%. So, and I'm kind of sick of moving sites over during the Black Friday sales because because that's what I've been doing the last couple of years. Because I utilize a hosting provider that was 150 Australian dollars. The Aussie dollar is terrible. 150 Australian dollars, and then when it renews for $650.
Oh my God.
Wow. It goes up from that. And so I forget it. Yeah. I'm going to spend an afternoon just moving sites across, but I'm just kind of sick of doing that. So I've been trying to look for a better solution. And the only thing I can realize I've found out is that just using like a VPS, like a cloud provider. So with this, could I use a starter plan, and then I can see here DigitalOcean only, get a instance on DigitalOcean, and then have this manage the server, security updates on the server as well, and just manage that all for me?
Yeah. So it's better than just managing a server. The starter plan actually will manage a cluster for you on DigitalOcean, and you can actually load up as many sites as you want on it. So you can manage it. It's limited to one user, but it's mainly for freelancers and developers and stuff, and people to try it out, right? So but it's fully functional. And you can manage a cluster with it, and you can create as many sites as you want on it, and with custom domains and dev test live environments, staging environments, and full CI/CD pipelines and so on, right? So
at the moment, for example, I've got my own bevansbench.com website, which is not a client's website. I'm not managing websites other people. It's just mine.
Yeah.
This sounds like something good. It's on a VPS at the moment, which means I've got to update that. I've got to keep track of the security updates, manage the thing if I want to install another. But I could use DevPanel to. We're talking all about DevPanel.
If you've got, to be honest, if you've got just one site, you probably just run it on one server somewhere. you don't really need to use Dev Panel. If you don't need, you don't want, if you've just got one site, use Drupal Forge, because Drupal Forge is free and it lets you export the site to any hosting environment that you want, including Pantheon, Acquia, whatever, right? You can connect AWS Lightsail, DigitalOcean servers or whatever, right? So if you're going to put it on a VPS, if you want to put your site on a VPS, use Drupal Forge. It's free, and you can connect a VPS to it, and you can push your site to a VPS, and then the Drupal Forge site shuts down or goes to sleep, and that maintain that as your dev site, and then your production site lives on your DigitalOcean server or your Lightsail server or wherever, right? And you're paying $5 to $12 or whatever you're paying them, right? So if you want to manage just one site, use Drupal Forge for free, right? But if you've got multiple sites that you're managing, then just use the starter plan here, and for like $10 a month, you can manage, it'll manage the whole cluster for you, and you can manage as many sites as you want.
So typically that $9.95, and it says DigitalOcean only, you've got to pay DigitalOcean's hosting separate, like
that's right.
Separately.
So we do not pay. It says, the first line says BYO infrastructure, so bring your own infrastructure. Yeah. We do not pay. Right, $9.95 does not include DigitalOcean infrastructure. So that's just a platform fee. You bring your infrastructure, you connect your account to it, and whatever you use, right, you pay DigitalOcean directly. We don't take a cut off it. You don't, you're not paying a percentage of it or anything. Whatever you're using, it scales automatically. So if you end up using a lot, the cluster will grow. And if you don't use, as you shed sites, or as you shut down your dev environments, or as you shut down sites, the cluster will shrink, and it auto posits your dev sites. So in the evening, right, when you're done using your dev sites or whatever, you go home, or you go to bed or whatever. So your dev sites will pause automatically, and your server will, and your cluster will actually shrink in size. So it manages your cost very effectively. And for individuals, it's not a big deal. You're probably going to be working on one site or something, or a couple of sites. But the team plan, that's really good for agencies when you're working on, tens or hundreds of sites. When the developers go home in the evening, right, all the dev environments get paused, and your cluster goes from, using 10, 12, 15 nodes to using one node or two nodes or something.
When your developers go home, they should be at work working. What's this? They should be at work. All right. How are those updates going on Drupal?
Those are, hey, look at that. Ready to update. Can't be undone. Strongly recommend you back up. All right. So how do we back up the database then?
So that's a great question.
It is actually
on the instant launch, on the express launch. There's no like, you can download your database. Just go into VS Code and you can download. You can use Drush to download.
Yes.
But that's going to download the database into your hosting on the file system, right?
You can download it here on the files. You can keep it here in the file system, or you can actually drag and drop it. This is a VS Code like environment, and it has SCP built in, like SFTP built in. So you can, if you created a file here, you can drag and drop it right on your desktop.
Really? So you drag it out of that file explorer onto your desktop. Nice.
Yeah, grab a file from here, grab your index.php file, and drop it into your.
Let me first find a folder. Give me one moment.
We're learning on the fly. This is
this is great. Really, I did not. Oh,
yeah,
dude, this is really, really cool.
Yeah, I did not know that. So you're saying
this wasn't in our plan?
No. So if I have this folder right here, let me just bring this out a bit. I've got a few VS codes here. So what I could do is grab just the README.
There it is.
Oh, wait a minute. That's
a link. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what it did there. It should have moved the file over.
So copy.
See? You're an Ubuntu, Ivan.
Yeah, I should be.
So grab a directory or something and move that over.
Well, let me just bring this out a little bit more. Well, let me close that. Let me close that. Oh. See, this is when I'm not prepared. I don't clean my desktop.
Yeah, you might have to edit this.
What? No, there we go. Wait, what?
I don't think there's anything secret.
What did I just click? What? Let's go back. File. Wait a minute. Just close that.
Yeah, just click there. Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. So if I was to grab, say, the recipes, pop that over here. That's just doing a text clipping. Maybe it's a OS level thing.
Yeah, it might be. Usually,
that's why I said you need Ubuntu.
Yeah, we could just drag and drop stuff into it, and it just works, man. I don't know what's going on here. So,
there's some live demos for you. Well, we should be able to do a Drush DB dump. What's the Drush dump DB?
No. That's what I'm looking at now. SQL result.
SQL dump. That's what it is.
So if I
SQL.
Come on. No, what is it? SQL. No, you need to do results. What is it? Result file equals.
Just use the redirection operator.
Access denied. Privileges. I put the right thing in? Oh no.
When trying to dump table spaces.
That's fine. Now if I come along in here, local. Where is it? Oh, there we go. It's there. So if I do, what is it? Local SQL, that's 11 meg. Yep, that looks like a database to me.
Yeah.
What is it?
You do a head on it. Type head.
Oh, that's right. It's
head. There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. SQL file.
All right. There you go. So now we've backed that stuff up.
Drop that though.
Well, we've backed that up. Now let's run it. Continue.
Could have skipped all that. Could have skipped all the backup, but we learned something.
No, that's actually.
It's just a random demo. Just go.
Yeah, just go.
You only record the podcast once.
Right. So while this is building, I'll show you another thing. So go back to Drupal Forge, and then you can go into the Drupal 11 page, scroll down.
Yep.
And then click into that, and then you can spin up a Drupal 11 site if you want to. So just click on Express Launch, and you'll have your Drupal 11 site as well.
Yeah. I'll put it to you, Ivan, if you want to. Is it worth doing a non-express launch? You'll need your Drupal login, and so we can have a look at what it looks like when you've got a dev environment there too.
So now you've got the Drupal 11 widget, right? Now, if you go back to the home page, you see the Drupal CMS widget is live, and then if you come back to the Drupal 11 page,
should I open up in a different tab?
No. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So try it.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now go back to the Drupal 11 page. That widget is there. And you've got two things running.
Yes.
And you can't deploy another Drupal 11 until this one hits the countdown. And then you can deploy another one if you wanted to. Unless you scroll down and create a dev environment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you create a dev environment, then you have to register, right? But it saves it for you. So it doesn't disappear after 6 hours. It actually saves it for you. And then you can log in and unpause it and work on it again, and then come back tomorrow and work on it again, and come back the day later and work on it again. So
that's what I would use for my students in a course, right?
Yeah, exactly. What's that?
But is there a limit on how long you keep these environments around, even if you're logged in?
If you use it, I think it's like if you don't use it for 7 days, we'll delete it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So if you don't use it for 7 days, but if you continue to use it, then we don't delete it. And you can only have one. I think we're coming out with a paid plan where you can have more than one dev environment.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like right now we have to figure out, like, it's a nonprofit and we're running in the negative. So we have to figure out a way to monetize. We have to figure out, how we're going to be self-sustaining. So,
okay. So this is perfect for like a site builders course for me, where it's like I want to show them how to do automatic updates, how to use Drush, how to use Composer, that sort of, which seems like I do with the demo. But if they're doing the course over a month, or like it's a self-paced course, it might be 6 months.
Yeah,
I need an environment they can spin up and make it as simple as possible, because it's a site builder's course, not a developer's course. I don't want them to install DDev on their local system and deal with Docker, and they can come here and
the nice thing, Bevan, is you can have your own space on Drupal Forge. It's not enabled yet, so it's coming within a week or two, where you'll have your own page and you can have your own widgets and your own basically your own recipes on your space on Drupal Forge. So you can even have fast recipes. You can have your day one.
I can even set it up
recipe.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You're learning more stuff on the fly. So so here's module 1. Go click this button that spins up the website for module 1.
Right.
Hey, if the student stuffs it up, that's fine. Of course, module 2, we spin up a whole new fresh one.
Right.
Pre-configured.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that way,
I hadn't thought about that. That's not.
And that all. That's all in your space, so it doesn't show up on the front page. It doesn't show up anywhere else. It's you give users a URL, you give your students a URL that go into your page, and all your stuff is listed in your page, and you control your page and it's listed there or not.
And a similar use case is whether you're live doing a live stream or something, Ivan, or someone's doing a conference. And you go, everybody, here's where I'm going to do my demo for my. You're doing a conference describing how to do something, and everyone in the room can go here and click a button and spin up a preset, pre-configured. So you gave me that, Salim, that idea that often when you go to a conference, someone goes, "Here's how you set up this module, connect this," and they do it in 5 minutes on stage, and then you go do it yourself, and it takes you like 2 days to solve all the finicky little issues. Whereas this can go. This is a preset recipe. It's just go to this website, click a button. And
I do like the fact that I can straight away see, for instances with me, because one thing I've been thinking about is doing perhaps a free and then eventually possibly paid as well, but just kind of live training. And that's the thing that I've always thought of, is like, how do you do environments? Because I've been at Drupal camps where we've done training, and the first and even what is it? The contribution days. You spend half the day just getting people set up. And I know from experience with the Drupal CMS about people having trouble spinning up DDev on Windows. Trust me, I've gotten more than enough comments on my videos telling me how terrible it is on Windows to get spun up. So the fact that everything can be done in a browser, and the fact that it is self-service as well. I don't have to contact you or, organize things. This is actually pretty good. This is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I think
you can export the site too, so you're not don't have that
the other
platform lock-in.
Exactly. Yeah. Export it. Do whatever you want with it. It's your site. And then they'll be like, how do I host it myself? And it's like, okay, well,
go to Drupal Forge, click this button.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually doing a training on that day after tomorrow at Drupal Camp, Florida.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to show people how to actually export sites. right from Drupal Forge into their own VPS and DigitalOcean and AWS. So,
oh, that's people have been asking me in the comments of my videos, specifically that. It's like, I've set up Drupal CMS. How do I host it and deploy it? And
that's an ongoing issue, man.
I know, absolutely. And I kind of have to explain to them, it's like, it's hard for me to come up with one single way, because every place I've worked at has their own
differently
system for deployment.
Yeah.
And so, but
DevOps, you need to be a DevOps and invent your own deployment solution in your own hosting.
Yeah, it's not easy, and that's why we did it, right? Like it's hard to do it, and that's why. But we have playbooks. We use Ansible to do it, and we use Terraform to set up the infrastructure, and we use you're back.
Oh.
And we use Ansible to push sites over, and the playbooks are all open source. So if you have if our playbooks are not working somewhere, or you want to connect, or if you're a hosting company and you want to connect your own infrastructure to Drupal Forge, right? Just clone our playbook and modify it, and do a PR, and we'll pull it in, and then any user can push to your hosting company. So it's easy to take your hosting company and actually connect it to, or your platform, connect it to Drupal Forge, and let users push stuff from Drupal Forge into your own.
So what's if I had like my own little private cloud rack here on running Drupal Forge as the front end of that?
If you can SSH to it, you can deploy to it.
Exactly. That's it. If you can SSH to it, you can deploy to it. So that's, and we install Docker. We look for Docker. If it's installed, we skip it. If not, we'll install Docker, and then we deploy containers to it. So.
I like
the nice
control, man.
The nice thing is you can maintain your Drupal Forge site as your dev environment, and it just goes to it just pauses, goes to sleep. And that's always your dev environment. And then you can maintain whatever you want on whatever server, hosting company. That's your production site, right? So it's a nice. I think it's a nice service to the developers, and it's easy to use. It's got the cloud dev environment built in, and it's free. So
so we've got some notes here about the comparisons to things like Acquia Pantheon Platform SH. We've covered bits of that about how it differs. Now, my experience with Pantheon was that I could, using it for my other course, spin up 2 sandbox sites and stuff like that. But there's some distinct differences here with, the widget, for example, the spin it up is there. But to get it clear, how does Drupal Forge compare to?
Well, I have not used Pantheon or Acquia or any of the other platforms, so you have to tell me what the differences are. I'll tell you what Drupal Forge does and what DevPanel does, but you'll have to tell me what they do. And to me, they provide a lot of service, and they have a lot of knowledge about Drupal. So when people host with Pantheon or Acquia, if there's a problem with their Drupal site, they can call up Pantheon, and Pantheon will help them resolve those issues with their Drupal site. But we don't do that. Like, we'll give you a self-service mechanism for spinning up a dev environment, launching it or running it in your infrastructure, pushing it to your own VPS, but we don't provide Drupal support. It's all automated DevOps.
I'm hoping that Pantheon, Acquia, Platform SH will all have their own sponsored widget that will funnel people to their hosting.
I mean, we can push stuff to all those platforms, and we can even, if they want to stop developing their own dashboards, they can use DevPanel to actually.
So that's the key difference. Yeah, that really is the key difference. DevPanel's not hosting; it's
not.
It's a panel. It's an interface.
Provide a lot of other services that we don't. DevPanel. Think of DevPanel as like cPanel. It bolts on to infrastructure, and whatever your hosting company is, use DevPanel as the UI to run whatever, right?
So it's a product rather than a service in that sense too, yeah?
Yeah, right now there are customers, there are people that came to us and they wanted DevPanel bolted onto Lagoon. So, Amazee's Lagoon, right? So now we're porting to Lagoon. So we'll be able to manage the Lagoon environment with DevPanel.
I still think it's quite a revolutionary idea. That's sort of why all the questions. Like I've been working with you for a while.
It's even hard to explain.
And it's like it's hard to So because it seems to me a fairly new. Is revolutionary the right word? But it's not a concept different. I've come across before. Yeah.
It's different. I don't know if it's revolutionary because it's kind of based like cPanel. Like, we don't manage your infrastructure. You buy your infrastructure, wherever, right? And then if you want to set up a hosting company, what's the first thing you use? You use cPanel, right? You get your own infrastructure from wherever, and then you get cPanel, and that's how you put those two things together, and then you sell hosting. It's the same type of thing with DevPanel. You get your own infrastructure, combine it with DevPanel, and you can create something like Drupal Forge, or you create whatever you want to create. Yeah. Drupal Forge is fully open source. Fork it, change it however you want to. Create your own skin and do your own.
Yeah, so there's even a project page on Drupal.org, like Drupal.org/project/Drupal Forge. Right. You can go through there and get access to the code and stuff. You've mentioned the idea of like selling apps hosting. We've talked a lot about this monetization idea. So there's a marketplace in place. How does that look? Like at the moment, what we've seen is the Drupal Forge thing here, where we can go and spin up Drupal CMS in demo mode or a developer mode, or
if you go to the home page, all those things, right, that you see there, if you scroll down, all those are, if you scroll down all the way, there's some things that are actually by different agencies. So if you go to the last two, for example, right, the last one is by Angelina. That's a USDS. It's got Drupal with USWDS theme on it. So it's like fully accessibility compliant and, FedRAMP or whatever. I don't know where like USDS theme is required, but I think government needs to use it and so on, right? So if you click on it, Ivan, you'll see that it's sponsored by a company. And if you scroll down, it's I guess their logo is broken now. But, but if you click on it, it goes to their website, right? So they actually this is their distribution. This is not our distribution.
So rather than a marketplace, it's just a funnel.
It's a place to demo your environments. You can make it into a marketplace. Like we don't have the Stripe functionality yet, but that's coming. So, so if they wanted to sell it through Drupal Forge, they could. And they could run it on their own cluster. So, in DevPanel, you could get a cluster for $9.95. You could actually sell applications that you're creating on DevPanel right on Drupal Forge. And everything gets spun up into your cluster. We don't run it in our cluster. It gets spun up into your cluster.
And if you're a company that already is set up to sell hosting,
then it runs in your cluster.
It runs on your cluster. Doesn't matter to us. And as soon as the customer gets an account, they pay you directly. So, and the way the links work and the widget works, you could have, for example, Google search result ads that somebody just clicks and starts up a Drupal site, and it's a 6-hour demo that they can then purchase from you. So Drupal can end up anywhere. We could end up with Drupal showing up in millions of places where people who wouldn't have been, it would have been too complicated for people to try it out before. Now they just click a link and they can try Drupal.
bit like an app store for the web.
It's more than an app store, right? It's an app store and a marketplace, but it also allows you to monetize. It manage. Well, I'll stop there. So
yeah.
Now, I'll just add. So, if I was to purchase something, would I be just purchasing the hosting or the actual application access?
Whatever the developer is selling.
Oh, okay.
Drupal Forge does not sell anything. The developers and the agencies putting their own recipes and distros or templates on Drupal Forge. Those are the guys, those are the folks that are selling stuff.
Yeah.
If they want to sell installation only, then we will charge the user for an installation fee, and you get that. Yeah. And the developer decides what cut Drupal Forge gets. We don't decide that. Right? So they can say, go ahead.
I'm just trying to put it in real world terms. You've got, say, Salsa's got a thing like they work on Civic theme. So they can come here and go launch Drupal with Civic theme. Hey, and if you really like it, here you can purchase and we'll set up a site with Civic theme pre-installed for you, etc. After hosting, pay some money, and it'll automatically launch in our hosting with Civic theme configured. Same, Morphed has got like a convivial profile. You can come here and click something like that and just spin up a website with the convivial profile installed and have a purchase button to go spin me up a thing and then automatically drive customers in that. That's kind of what is that sort of?
Yeah, it's a development, demo, and distribution platform.
Yeah.
So, or I should say, demo.
Yeah, or they can just demo and not charge at all.
Right. That's it.
Or you could be
demo, right. Like if it's an agency's distribution or template, if they want us to do the demo, we'll do it, but we would like them to sponsor it so that we're not taking on the cost for it. Right. So that's what we'd like to get it to, is that have it be one place for people to come in and actually check out. And it's community sponsored and it's community run. It's like totally open source. You want to make a copy of it, go for it.
Yeah. So if an example of what you could sell along with the hosting is playwright tests to guarantee that the site is working. You could sell some AI, pre-configured AI to go with that site. So it's doesn't just have to be hosting. It can be whatever you want to sell along with it.
All right, that's very good. How's that? Those updates are all done and everything.
Well, let's have a look. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. What
That's Drupal for you.
It was a JS error. Try reloading the page to see what happened.
Yeah. It probably timed out or something.
Well, let's go to the recent log messages. It's still in offline mode. Oh, here we go. What failed?
Yeah, it's Drupal. Automatic updates fails to apply the site. Indeterminate state.
Indeterminate state. That's pretty much my life right now. Indeterminate state. It's like, that's great. It's like, I don't know what happened. Something happened. But yeah.
Live demos.
Exactly. Don't worry. I've had things. The project browser fail in a live stream, so it happens.
Yeah, I saw you do a live stream recently where you ran automatic updates. Did I see that? And you were quite surprised when you clicked on it, and you go, "Oh,
yes," but that wasn't that wasn't Drupal core though. That was just a single module. That was a single module. And then then the week later, Drupal.org changed something in their JSON API, which then broke the JSON API parameters that automatic update module uses. So there was like a week or two where it's like it was totally broken until they released a new version of the module. Of course, you could patch it yourself, but the whole thing about Drupal CMS is that you're not meant to touch Composer, because, Dries mentioned that in his keynote originally, saying that, you install Drupal and the first thing you need to do is run Composer. So that's why when I try and use Drupal CMS, my goal is to always download modules through the project browser to kind of show the benefit until modules don't appear. And that's one thing I've noticed. A few times you cannot find the modules in project browser. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
That's something to do with being on the bleeding edge of things. It is Drupal 1.0.
It is new,
right?
Absolutely. It is.
I remember that's old school. I remember getting taught that in like 1994. My mate going, new DOS, don't upgrade to the new DOS 6, right? Because wait until it's like DOS 6.3 and then
always wait for maintenance release. That's what I always do. I'm always one version behind on Mac OS. Always. I never update straight away. And I always wait for a maintenance release for major applications. Always.
Yeah. So that's covering Drupal's arse here where the updates.
Oh no, I have lost half a day when I just updated Docker once. And all of a sudden it all just everything blew up. And it's like, oh, man, I've lost half a day.
It happens all the time.
Or like PHP.
Regular thing. You come in the morning, you go, Docker Compose up.
Yeah.
You go, there goes my day.
There goes your day. Gone.
Yeah. Well, this is a
which
real
Drupal
life
Forge might solve, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is what makes it how it gets better from actually being tested.
Absolutely.
But speaking of Drupal CMS and Starshot, that's where we've got Starshot's all about making Drupal more accessible. So Drupal Forge has got this Starshot. Well, it's not Starshot anymore. It's the Drupal CMS launcher. So we've got a bit of story because we've done all this discussion about how Drupal Forge can work with developers and people trying out different profiles and stuff. But specifically, you can just come in here and demo Drupal CMS. So how does Drupal Forge really fit in with the Drupal CMS story in that sense and where it's going? Because to add a bit more to that, you spoke to Dries that back in 2022 in Portland, right? So there's a connection.
That was last year. Starshot
hasn't
been around that long.
So
it hasn't.
I'll interject a little bit here. I'm going to let Darren tell you the story, but I'll interject a little bit here.
Yeah.
When Darren came to me, I was like, he's like, can we do this? And I was like, dude, if we do this, it's going to create everybody can create their own hosting company. If you want to do your own hosting company, you can, right? It'll be like a one-click thing. You can start hosting. You don't have to do anything. Drupal Forge, it's all automated in the back end. It's all automated. So all you have to do is set up your own hosting company and you start selling. So it'll be our first thing that came to mind was we'll have 1,000 Drupal gardens, and that's what we thought of, right? That was the first thing that came to that was the discussion. And then Darren, I was like, are they okay with it? Is Acquia and Dries going to be okay with it? Because they're, that's their living. So then I'm going to turn this over to Darren, and Darren can tell you the story about that.
So Salim said not getting involved unless Dries says it's okay. So I caught up with Dries in between meetings, and I told him what we were planning to do, and I used those words. It'll be like 1,000 Drupal gardens, and we just want to make sure that's okay with you. And Dries said, "I appreciate your checking with me, but that's great. But 1,000 flowers bloom."
Cool.
Or maybe it was. I think. What is it? 1,000,000 flowers bloom. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, 1,000,000 flowers.
Yeah, right.
Not 1,000. Think bigger.
bigger than I thought.
Yeah. So
1 billion flowers.
And then after that, right, then Darren came back and said, yep, we've got like everything's cool. We can do this. And then I was like, dude, you got it. Like, I'm not doing this by myself. There's a lot of projects that started with people and then they back out and then I'm stuck with the project, And when I start something, I like to finish it. Like I like to see things through. So I was like, I'm not doing it unless you're doing it. So I would like. So I'm glad he's sticking around and doing this because I wouldn't be doing this unless he was involved and other people were involved. So and I was like, it's got to be set up as a separate company because then it has like too much conflict of interest with. It could have conflict of interest with.
I don't think we really have a conflict with the big companies. I mean, I work for Cognizant, and we don't take a client for less than $1 million a year. And I know some other agencies have gotten to the size where they can't take a client for less than $100,000 a year. We're talking about the small people, the babies that are just beginning. Drupal with Drupal CMS, you can start off as a non-technical user and sell sell sites to your friends using Drupal, and you own everything instead of using what some other hosted things are. Trying to remember. Squarespace.
Well, like Squarespace or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You own everything. And there's no limit to how much you can grow. But this is providing the entry point for everyone.
See, that's where the Drupal's the big benefit. Of course, it avoids that platform lock-in that you get with something like Squarespace, right? That's where Drupal CMS is at now. It's starting to get into that same realm of space, but you don't get that platform lock-in. You've got your own data. You can go and move it. Once you're on Squarespace, you're on Squarespace. That's it. Right? They own you. So is there anything we haven't covered about Drupal Forge's future? What you see it down the track evolving into? Or
there is a lot of stuff that's in works right now that I don't really want to say because who knows if it's gonna like work out or not work out. So I don't want to make promises that we're not going to be able to keep. So or say stuff that we're not going to be able to deliver on. So
well, I would like to say this. It is a community project. So we're developing this in the open.
Yeah.
And that's a lot different from what I was hearing when Starshot or Drupal CMS was first announced. Nobody wanted to talk about the trial hosting for the trial experience. I was told that it was too sensitive to discuss in public because everyone would think that this was going to be just a lead generation project for Acquia. And so they first said that they were going to do it without hosting at all. It would just run in your browser, and that didn't work. So we continued working on this because I believed that the community has a right to contribute. Drupal is a gift that we all get to improve on. So this is a community project, and you want to preview and help work on anything. Some things you could look at are that we have in progress are the upcoming replacement for DrupalPod, because Gitpod is going to stop providing hosting for cloud development. So we have the infrastructure. We created the plugin, the browser extensions, so you can use so that would use Drupal Forge instead of Gitpod. That's something that's in progress. We could use help with marketing and with some of the design on our website. and we could also use help with keeping our templates stable. These are all GitHub repositories or GitLab repositories, and you can, if you have one that you want to help keep stable or test and you find any problems, just get in there and use the developer, start it up with the developer launch, and you'll get the link to the repository on your developer dashboard, and you can start making pull requests.
All right. So what's the best way for someone to get involved? I mean, the obvious one that jumps out to me is the Drupal Forge channel in Drupal Slack server.
Yes.
They can contact both Salim and Darren. You guys are in there.
Right. And not
go on have a chat if you've got any questions, etc.
Nora. Nora is somebody you can talk to there. Luke, and I'm having a problem with names today. But if you look in the channel,
if you just go to the channel and just ask there, like, hey, you want to like ask for any updates on anything, one of us will jump in and answer that.
Yeah, and then there's the module page and stuff. But
right,
just go to the channel and talk to you guys if you want to help and get started, or just go to drupalforge.org and click the button.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're coming up with a podcast as well. So that's on drupalgrief.com. So you can
Drupal
go check
Grief.
Oh, that's a good one. Drupal Grief. No, it's Drupal Grief. So yeah, Ivan, if you want to bring that up in a tab, that'd be great. It's fully automated. And we're using AI to create summaries of blogs and other podcasts that are like
Spotify.
I don't know if it's on Spotify yet. We've applied to it. It's brand new.
I found it.
Brand new.
Oh,
yeah. So play one of those. Like start playing one of those. You'll see.
Oh my God.
What I'm talking about.
Gary V's right. He says AI is going to replace the influencer. Look at you.
Well, I doubt the music's going to play through it. Maybe. Can you hear anything?
No. So that's what AI generated voices reading the podcast.
Yeah, it's fully AI generated from start to finish, and the whole process is automated. So what we're doing is we're taking like Talking Drupal, because I like to go through like Talking Drupal, but it's like hour and a half, man. Like I don't have hour and a half. So what I want to do is just go through like a summary of it. Like I've always wanted to listen to a small summary of it, and then if I wanted to go get the details, then I'd go listen to it.
See, I do my 15-minute Drupal news channel. Takes me like 4 solid days.
Yeah,
if not
dude,
more.
There's so much stuff out there that I wanted like to go through, but it's just like so long and it just takes so much time. So I created this. I was
Go
like,
watch my news videos.
What's
my
that?
news videos are entertaining. My news video is entertaining. It's got personality.
So we're creating this.
Don't replace me with AI.
Yeah. But we're like if it has to do with automation, we're gonna do it. So this is all 100% automated, and it goes out. It finds new episodes. It's still work in progress. It is still like, hopefully before DrupalCon we'll have it figured out, all the automation figured out. Well, I didn't want to touch it. I was like, I'm just gonna have it just fly by itself and just have it, just do its own thing and just generate stuff by itself. So,
but still, 12 minutes, that's a bit long, don't you think? 20 minutes.
I know, but today you can't specify that, make it 5 minutes long. Right?
Oh, okay.
So but I figured that today it's at its worst. It's only going to get better.
That's it.
So when they start,
or it's going to plateau.
time. Right. When it gives us time limits of like, oh, now you can specify it. You want a 5-minute summary or something like that. Then we're going to do 5-minute summaries. But I just wanted 5-minute summaries, but I can't shorten it down. That's as short as it'll do it. So.
Yeah.
But the quality is pretty good, man. You should check it out. I was very impressed with the quality, and it's using Google's notebook.
Oh, the notebook LM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody's used that. Everybody knows that voice. Those two voices. They have those two hosts. And then I wrapped it around another voice from like an intro and outro from 11 Labs. So there's an intro and outro from 11 Labs, plus in the middle there's the notebook.
11 Labs will let you clone your own voice, won't it? 11 Labs clone your own voice.
I tried, and it was just my wife and daughter just laughed at it. They were like, no, don't use.
Well, they're the wrong people to get to listen. You need someone who's never heard you before.
I thought I had a good clone of my voice, but when I was like, "What do you think?" They just laughed. They're just like, "No, there's no way."
No, they're too close to you. They're gonna.
But I respect their opinion. So I was like, you know what? I don't. I wanted my voice. I wanted my voice to start and didn't fly.
How many hours of material do you need to give them? Is there a certain amount, or don't you have to read 40 minutes? I use
the 10-second. I use their 10-second or 30-second cloning, so that's probably why it didn't come out that good. But there's a half an hour version of it, which I'm going to try later. But
7 minutes
here on Drupal Brief is it was all hacked together. It was just total hacked together, right? And but it works.
Yeah.
Right? It actually works. So and this is Drupal Forge's podcast, or one of Drupal Forge's podcasts. We're going to have a whole series of podcasts. So
when you automate it, you can have 1,000 of them.
When you automate it, well, not just that, but from Drupal Brief, from Drupal Forge, we can create podcasts for any agencies. We can create automated podcasts as a service, like for any agencies. If they want an automated podcast of their own, we'll do it.
You can have a cute little, what do you call it, like Harajuku girl. Welcome to Drupal.
I'm going to let you do that, Devin. You do that. It looks like you've already got some ideas there. So.
All right. Well, you got to see what's coming in the future. It's keep your eyes out. All right, so this has been great. Thanks for the big overview of Drupal Forge.
I really appreciate it, and this is we'll have to do more when we come out with some more features.
Absolutely.
I know Darren's been working really hard on some of the new stuff that he hasn't even talked about. I know we've got some
Darren working hard on getting that installations down really fast, leading up to the launch of Drupal CMS. I saw the hours you put in.
Yeah, he's been very diligently working very hard on this. We've got other team members working very hard on some new stuff that we haven't even talked about yet. When it gets released, after it gets released, we'd love to come back and tell you about it and show you what it does, because if we're able to pull it off, it's going to change how people use Drupal. I promise you that. It's going to change how people use Drupal. It's really exciting.
Keep forging ahead with Drupal Forge, man.
That's right. That is right. It's going to change. Yeah. Sometimes somebody said, I was like, it unlocks Drupal's potential. And then they corrected me. They're like, no, it unlocks your potential. And I thought that was very interesting.
Is that a marketing department meeting?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're not great at marketing, but I just thought that was a really interesting twist on that, So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially I'll just mention one thing. One thing that I've noticed with the combination of the Drupal AI functionality, the ECA module as well. And also the fact that you can create fields and views and things like that. You have a full-on application, all this fancy type of application builder right there. And now we all know Drupal can do that, but mix that in with AI building it for you and just creating workflows using ECA. So many times I've thought to myself, why am I paying for these SaaS applications when I can just build a Drupal instance to do it myself in a weird way? Like that's like, say for example, Notion. Notion is a note-taking tool. I have this love-hate relationship with it. And so many times I've thought to myself, why don't I just use a Drupal instance? I've got full control over it. So many times I wanted to set something up and it's like,
I've had that exact same idea.
Why don't I just use Drupal? Because my first Drupal site, believe it or not, was my official first one was I used Drupal 5, I think, to run an internal CRM because I was working on a help desk and I was hosting it on my work computer. And the fact that you could just create fields and create views, I kind of use it as like FileMaker, if anyone remembers that, or like Access.
Yeah, it's like Access.
Access. And that's what I used it for. And you think about it, now you can bolt up GraphQL to it. You can do all these things. And if we can just make the hosting part and using part easier, so many times I've thought, I've actually really thought to myself, it's like, wait a minute, why don't I just have one Drupal instance and have that run everything as my task manager? It's mine. I've got full control over it. I can do whatever I want.
That's what I'm doing with my website. Like I've got my website, which has got a blog on the front end and it's got my content. And then I use it for a whole heap of unpublished content, which is social media content that I'd like to publish. It's all recorded and stored like it's a database and organized in there. I've even extended that Drupal so I can upload my own videos and it'll transcribe it using Whisper and render captions onto my reels and stuff. Because why am I paying an ongoing service to everywhere you go to get captions? It's like, that's only $9 a month. And you go times 100.
Yeah.
Right.
I started using Whisper since you turned me on to it. Yes.
Yeah.
On Hugging Face, it's really easy to do it on Hugging Face.
Yeah, I've got to have more of a look at Hugging Face because I'm using Whisper on my, like I told you, on my local machine, I can run Whisper and it uses the NVIDIA graphics card, goes really quick. And then you go and plug it into my website. It takes like an hour a day.
Because there's no GPU on it.
No, but I'm just going to plug into OpenAI's. I had a quick look at it because you put me on the Hugging Face. I can probably host it there and create an API, but I might just plug straight into OpenAI.
The only thing with OpenAI, they limit it to 25 meg file sizes, which, believe it or not,
for the transcoding.
For the transcoding. Well, no, for the speech to text, it's a 25 limit, which when you want to transcode an hour-long video like I've been trying to do, you can't get it down. It's such a pain.
Thanks for the heads up. I guess the other thing is I could find a little serverless instance on AWS or something and stick the Whisper binary up there. And I don't want to pay OpenAI when I don't have to. I've got to pay somebody if I'm going to host it, right? Pay AWS instead.
Well, exactly. But, you're paying somebody.
Yeah. Because on my VPS, it just takes forever. So it's not something I can productize because it's unless I build it as a prototype. It works for me, but instead of I just spin up DDev on my local. That's how I do all my videos now. Spin up my DDev site, copy my video in there, click go, captions. Yes.
There you go.
Anyway, anywho.
As we close this, I just want to go around and say the names of everyone here because I'm going to get this summarized automatically through Drupal Brief as well. So go ahead, Ivan. I'm going to let you start. Give your name and your whatever tagline you want to give, and then Devin, Darren, I'll go last.
All right. Well, I'll go first. I'm Ivan, and I'm the one of the co-hosts of the Code and Character podcast. All right, who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'm Bevan. I'm host number 2 of the Code and Character podcast.
Co-host.
Co-host.
Darren.
And I'm Darren O. I'm the Drupal Forge project lead.
And co-founder.
Co-founder, yeah.
Yep.
Co-founder.
And I'm Salim Lakhani. I'm one of the co-founders of Drupal Forge as well. So thank you guys for interviewing us. Really appreciate it, and hope we can come back again and show you some of the new stuff that we're doing as well. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks.
For coming
It was
on.
fun.
All right.
Take care.
Ciao.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.